right, well, welcome to Open Mic Night. This is a joint effort between the Pat Conroy Literary Center and the South Carolina Writers Association, and we welcome anyone to participate, especially our friends that are calling in from Tennessee and Ireland. This is really, really wonderful, so thanks for joining us. We got quite a lineup tonight. And a lot of poetry in store. So I tried to alternate a little bit so we can mix it up. So if you'll bear with me, I didn't send I've got my whole list here. What I'll do is I'll say the first three readers and then I'll just say the next three just to give people a heads up. Okay, I haven't been doing that in the past. I'm kind of surprising folks. So the first three readers this evening, and Mr. Dixon isn't here, so I'm going to pretend that he doesn't make it, I guess, but Pamela Campbell will start us. Oh, he is here now. Okay, thank you, Jonathan. I can't see him. Hi, Barry. Okay. Hi. So our first three readers are Pam Campbell, Barry Dixon, and Jane Addams. And you're on a 3-minute timer. And when it goes off, you'll hear this little bell sound. If you're not done, go ahead. There's a little bit of a grace period. Jonathan's not going to cut you off. I'm not cutting you off. But we try to be respectful of time. So we're looking forward to hearing everybody's work this evening, and thank you so much for joining. So Pam, if you'd be so kind as to start us off, little introduction, that'd be terrific.
Just start reading is okay? Is that okay?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. Breath. I hang back at the door like a shop-fearing child. Kind women beckon, warm blanket in hand, and encourage me to the treatment table. Truth, I thought the second time would be easier. But now I know the afterfire this soundless, invisible beam carves in my breast. It secures my life, I'm told. Arms stretch overhead and fasten in place, hips adjust right and then left. My fingertips reach out and comfort each other. Tattooed and blue-marked body line up with exact precision to the machine's projected red ones. I am deemed ready. Truth, I am not ready. I whisper apologies to my breast. Through the drum of heartbeat in my ears, I hear, when you are ready, take a breath and hold it. Where are my carefully practiced imaginings? Where are mountain and sky? Where are hummingbird and blue jay? Tears trail, filling my ears. Truth, tears voice sadness and anger, opens heart and cleanses soul. Take a breath and hold it. Breath is life. I close my eyes and drift down Little River. The dipping of friends' paddles, a rhythmic cradling. Hummingbird flies from her tiny nest and covers my nakedness. Blue jay sings his whisper song, and I sing with him. I empty my lungs and breathe in strong and steady and hold fast to the liquid drop of paddles in Little River. Truth, I am not alone. Okay.
That was amazing. That was amazing, Pam. Thanks for having the courage to read that. Thank you so, so much. Thank you. Beautifully done. Thank you so much. Okay, I think we can all breathe for a minute. You're followed by Mr. Dixon, so I have a feeling Barry will kind of lighten the mood a little bit if I know Barry Dixon. So Barry, take it away, please.
Well, thank you. I found myself today more in a poetry than a memoir mood. You guys are used to hearing my micro memoirs, but I kept looking for poems to read for some reason. And then it occurred to me, why not read the poem that's about looking for poems? So here we go. This is called Everywhere. Where are you going, dear? She called from upstairs. Out looking for a poem. I'll be back at dinner time. Bye. I will find one in the park for sure. It might land on a branch, or bend my way in a breeze, or poke its little head up through the ground. Once I found a poem in the park pond, making little bubbles with its lips. "Look," I said to my friend Freddie, "a poem." "What are you talking about?" he said. "It's a damn fish." Good guy, that Freddie. Not so good at seeing poems. If I don't find one in the park,
Yeah, Barry's frozen and gone.
no, and eyes so sharp you could spot a poem in the dark. Most poems are dying to be found. They call to you from everywhere. Train wheels, bell peals, pounding hearts. Frost found several in the snow. A guy named Frost finding poems in the snow is in itself a little poem, don't you think? Byron even heard one call from inside Anne, not to mention Florence, Harriet, Carolyn, Marion, and Mary. Apparently it's true. Women love a man who listens. So what then is the population of these poems? There being no census for such things. Some say they are countless billions, a poem in every flake and bird and kiss and blade and branch and wing and rose and nose and leaf and child and flea and field and tear and soul and heart. But there is yet another school, calling poems extremely rare. You must search long and wander miles for weeks or months to find just one, they say. And even then, they often are imposters, like fool's gold. They claim there have been maybe a few thousand ever, tops. Tough crowd. I favor the former, but perhaps the latter have a point, because I found no poem that day. How odd. Last week, I found one in the glove compartment. I don't know how long it had been in there, or why I never noticed it before. Between the unpaid parking tickets, the expired insurance card, and the empty space where the registration should have been, I called it negligence, an ode. That evening, as promised, I did return at dinner time. We went to Jean-Jacques Bistro, our favorite local spot, where I had, of course, my favorite local soup. But tonight, I noticed something I had never seen before. One crouton, a large grayish one, seemed to wander aimlessly as though rudderless, whilst the smaller one floated directly for it. I suspect deliberately. The big one, I thought. It's the Bismarck. The small one, HMS Hood. I gasped. "What's the matter?" said my girlfriend. I turned to the kitchen and called out. "Waiter," I said, "there's a poem in my soup." Thank you. I see a lot of hands clapping here. Wow.
It's great. It's great. We lost you. We lost you for a few seconds there, Barry, just to be real. I know. I know. Really, really,
That was
really fun. Really,
Thank you.
That was great.
really fun.
I
Thank
bet
you,
you lost
Barry.
me the best part. That was the best part.
I can't say. It was all so good that we can't be sure.
It's
So
really
there you go.
hard to tell, I know. Yeah.
Thanks, Barry.
You're welcome. Thank you.
All right, Miss Adams, Jane Adams, you're following Mr. Dixon, so good luck to you.
And am I on mic now? Am I on mic now? Can you hear me? Okay. And there is a special place in hell for those that put me behind Barry Dixon. You do this all the time. Tonight's poem is a little thing I found that I wrote in 2017, back when my poetry still rhymed. I don't do that anymore. but I thought it'd be a fun read for tonight. It's called The Dream, in which I meet Dali, Picasso, Sartre, Dante, and John Lennon. Okay. The hourglass seems to turn more today than the usual 24. In the mirror, a sight like Picasso, eyes askance and familiar no more. The reflection shifts, now a Dali, whose clock droops at a daunting pace, and my mouth and nose melt in tandem with the wreckage all over my face. I despise these days when it's stormy, when I lose all sight of the sun, and the darkness turns my gaze inside to inspect the damage I've done. Here is the line made by being too cross. There the wrinkle of caring too much. For things that never mattered at all, over here, a withheld, loving touch. Here where I could have been silent, wounding another person instead. Satisfaction of having the last word won't count for too much when I'm dead. I recoil in horror at what I've seen. This can't be the face that I know. Stepping back from the mirror, I turn to run, but find I cannot go. No escape from this sight, says Sartre. The face that you've painted set well. And Dante appears to add his rebuke. You've made your own reflection of hell. What if I take it all back, I cry? Can anything yet be undone? I see no hope in anyone's eyes. Lenin appears to say, follow the sun. I look to the light as it brightens, ascending slowly as if from a cave. The five, now a spectral gathering, say, morning bids us return to the grave. Remember your dream, says Picasso. Dali twirls his mustache and grins. Next time, he says, the clock will run out and I'll melt your neck with those chins. Sartre says, get out while you can and run towards the light. Alas, cries Dante, there was a ring of hell yet to show you tonight. They slowly fade from sight as I run and run hard till it's morning again. I can't unrun the feeling it left or the warnings of those long dead men. The memory persists till I finally awake to the warming light of the sun. I never want to return to that place and remember again what I've done. Today, the sun is streaming its light, strong and bright. It warms this whole place. I'll start once again and truly attempt to repaint this telltale old face.
Jane, that was terrific.
Different.
That was terrific. Yeah, it was terrific. Yeah, it was okay following Barry. It was really great. Yeah. There was a lot there. Yeah, we have to hear that again sometime. That was a lot in there. Thank you. Terrific, Jane. Thank you. All right, our next three up to bat are Mac McElroy, then Robin Prince Monroe, and Susan Jean McCarthy. Those will be our next three. You're going to start us off. I just wrote down fiction, so I have no idea what you're going to tantalize us with. You're on mute. You're on mute. There you go.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, perfect.
Okay.
Thank you.
There's
Yes,
absolutely
sir.
nothing here in what I'm going to read other than I got out of the zombie apocalypse bunker today and went to the beach. And that got me thinking about the book I wrote 3 years ago. There's a story about going down to the beach in New Jersey. I'm going to plug my book. It's called Not Exactly Rocket Scientist, and it just got re-upped for another 2 years. So this is a story called So That's How She Got the Bird. I'm going to only read a page of it, but I'll set it up. Going down the shore in New Jersey when you were 17 was the most magnificent experience you can imagine. If you were a world-class moocher, as my buddy and I were. We never had any money, had no place to stay, but we ate like kings and we slept like kings too at different places. So here's the story. We're down at the shore on a Sunday, and we're wandering around. I can assure you we were not looking for seashells. We were looking for young ladies who would introduce us to their mother who would feed us. So I will pick up the story with these two girls from Montclair, New Jersey, chiming in saying, "Our mother is always quick with a smile and a snack." And I'll pick up the text from there. When Mother welcomed us into the tiny cottage in Lavallette, New Jersey, and asked us if we would like anything to eat, my friend Suds Estes went without warning for the home run of all mooch meals, if that metaphor can stand. "I'd love a turkey dinner." We figured, of course, that he had meant to say a turkey sandwich, a more reasonable request in the middle of July on a Sunday noon in Lavallette, New Jersey. So I jumped in. "Yes, ma'am, a turkey sandwich would really hit the spot. Now, please don't go to any trouble." We were, as I have said, gentlemen freeloaders, and people used to say I should have gone into the diplomatic corps. Maybe, I thought, my friend Suds said it all as a goof. "No, boys, don't be silly," replied Mother. "Your friend here said turkey dinner, and turkey dinner it shall be." Now, I love a good turkey dinner as much as anybody, but in its place, pretty much Thanksgiving Day. And who's going to be selling a big old tom turkey around Lavallette, New Jersey in July? I mean, maybe someone could special order a nice 16-inch pounder over at the Safeway. In a week, we could come back. And the pumpkin pie? Who grows pumpkins in July? Things had already spiraled out of control, and we had been in the cottage less than 4 minutes. This was a record. "Now, you kids go back to the beach. We're going to eat about 4. This was amazing. At this rate, we figured Mother would be checking to see if we were up on our vaccinations, asking if we were getting enough vitamin D, and even enough love back at home. Skip on to the last page. We returned to the cottage 3.5 hours later. And what looked like the single greatest Lavallette, New Jersey summer cottage hot July Sunday 16-pound tom turkey dinner with all the trimmings ever seen along the Jersey shore, maybe the entire coast. The only thing missing were those stupid cardboard cutout pilgrims. Now, if I have 30 seconds, that's where I first ended my story. And I think it's a story that kind of hung together, filling the promise of what it means to be 17. Then my wife read the draft, and here's how the story ends in the book. The first time my slightly younger wife heard this tale, she quickly came up with a reasonable answer, and my mother pulled it off. "It had to be a big roast chicken, you idiot," she said, rolling her eyes. "Not a turkey. It just can't be done. Thawing out a turkey, even if she could find one, which was impossible, and no way could she cook a 16-pounder in 3 hours. And by the way, microwaves weren't even invented. Just couldn't be done." I wish she had stopped there, but she didn't. Who's the smart one in this family? The end. By the way,
That was really fun.
Buy
That
the
was
book.
really fun.
Not exactly rocket science, another story.
Great marketing too. That is That reminded me of the Christmas story. Even your reading maybe reminded me of the Christmas story. All right, thank you, Mac. Okay, you're on mute. So okay, here we go. The next one, Robin Prince Monroe. So if you'd like to make a quick introduction and let us know what you're going to read, that'd be terrific.
Sure. I actually sent a few poems to my kids and asked them which one they wanted me to read, and they picked this one, which is written for children. It's a children's poem. So here we go. Mama looked up and the weather looked fine, so she hung the clothes out on the line. Long john shirt and overalls, pair of socks belongs to Pa. Where, oh, where's the underwear? It's in a basket over there. Last clothespin, last piece of clothes, underwear as pink as rose. Mama picked them up and then hung them on the very end. Where, oh, where's the underwear? It's on the clothesline over there. Come up, oh bodacious wind, loosened up that one clothespin. The underwear began to fly like a bird up in the sky. Where, oh, where's the underwear? Flying high right over there. Blew atop an apple tree, blew right past my grandpa's knee. Got caught on old Billy's horn, skimmed across a field of corn. Where, oh, where's the underwear? It's in the field right over there. Mama then commenced a search and the underwear blew right in church. Norma Jean was quite surprised. Mrs. Brown just rolled her eyes. Where, oh, where's the underwear? It's in the church right over there. It landed in the offering plate held by Deacon Andrew Tate. Reverend Potts said we should share, but he didn't mean our underwear. Where, oh, where's the underwear? Andrew has it over there. Andrew took the plate outside to hide it from the wandering eyes. Mama grabbed the underwear before temptation made her swear. Where, oh, where's the underwear? Mama's got them over there. From all the places it had been, the pink had turned to gray again. So Mama put it in the squash, then went to hoe in the wash, then went to hoe the summer squash. Where, oh, where's the underwear? Back on the clothesline over there.
Yay! We really needed that poem tonight, Robin. It's, we've had so much, so that was really fun. Thank you. Did you have another poem or?
I have a fast, serious one if we have time. It's
you
called
have 1 minute.
1 minute, I can do it. Time is invisible.
All right.
It's over. Time is invisible.
No, it's not.
It's called Time is Invisible. It sounds like rushing water or a gusty breeze. It feels like getting pushed down a hill with roller skates on. And sometimes, if we're lucky or very determined, it can feel like opening a present on Christmas morning. Time tastes like vanilla ice cream, all sweet and cold, then melted away and suddenly gone. It smells like sweaty boys after a baseball game and looks like home movies on fast forward. What we choose to do with our time and who we choose to spend it with are the most important decisions of our lives.
Oh, very nice. Thank you. Thank you, Robin, and welcome. We're really glad you joined us this evening. Thank you so much. Yeah, glad to have you. Susan Jean McCarthy in her bedroom. You're on mute, and we need to unmute Susan. Yeah, so Jonathan's clapping. Maybe Jonathan can help us unmute you, Susan. He's trying. Yep. Just a moment. You're not unmuted yet. There you are. Welcome.
I should unmute myself.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. It's McCartney, as in Paul, no relation, obviously.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
No, that's all right. No problem. This is something I travel a lot, and a few years ago I was in Africa for a while, and I've started writing stories about Africa now, and I hope to put them all in a book one of these days. I just got this one published. It'll come out this month, so I thought I'd read it because, and it starts with a little introduction which tells you a little more. So okay. Into Africa I fly on a one-way ticket. Journey through 14 countries in 22 months on local transportation. Learn, rest, change. A woman without advantage of youth or money. The journey has many pieces. This is one. November 19th, 2008. Train to Tuzair. The morning train out of Tunis rail yard heads south. Clickety-clack. Small boys race the train. Jump rusted cans, broken bottles. Wave with both hands, I wave back. Settle my black ensemble in window sun. Black doesn't disguise white skin and solitary stance, but it allows me passage in this realm of Islam. Out my window, northern hills gush green. Distant villages and valleys skim by, clickety-clack. Green curls to scrub. The train tunnels into the largest sea of hot sand in the world. Sahara dunes dip and rise in cloud shadow. Sand ripples, billows, shifts, and trances. Sun moves to the other side of the car. The train stops for passengers. Few ride this first-class car, mostly men. Down the aisle, an old man takes a seat. The old woman with him doesn't. She comes toward me through sun and shadow of the moving train. Wisps of glorious white hair escape a loose mantle of yellow silk safsari that wraps her small, regal body. Surely temple maidens will appear to scatter scented petals before her. Hello, I say with relish. She slips into my double seat, small smile, puts a finger to her lip, shakes her head slightly. She doesn't know English. Pearls encircle her neck. Below, another necklace of golden beads and rock crystal, wide gold bands each wrist, tiny brown fingers ringed with emerald, opal, and sapphire. We sit knee to knee, she like a Phoenician queen in shimmering armor, me a white woman armored in black, free-minded spirits both. Her indigo eyes glow messages, mine shine back. We spend the evening caught in splendorous admiration. Sisters make small, silent connections. Watch a ruby sunset dim the restless sand. It's pitch black when we reach to there. From the train platform, I see queenly jeweled fingers wave in the dim-lit high window. I think of Jezebel, Phoenician princess, goddess of Baal, queen of Israel. The plight of Jezebel in that kingdom of Jesus, slander evermore for the worship of Baal. I wonder how my queenly sister holds herself above the encompassing Allah. The train pulls out. Red caboose lights disappear. Thousands of days won't bring so singular a sight as this dazzling interloper.
Susan McCartney, welcome. That was amazing. That was very well written. Thank you. That was beautifully written. And you really got us there. So thank you.
It really happened. Yeah, it really happened. It's like, but I tried to be creative.
You took us on that train right there with us. We were right there with you. Thank you, Susan.
You're welcome. It's nice to be back there again. It's nice to go back.
Yeah, it was terrific. It was terrific.
Right.
Our next three readers this evening are Emily Davis Fletcher, Catherine Tandy Brown, and Margaret O'Regan. I hope I said O'Regan correctly. Okay. So, Emily, welcome. I know you're running a tad late. I'm glad you're here. Are you ready? Are you okay?
Yes, I'm fine.
Okay, good. All right. Well, you've got the stage.
Nothing unusual for a poet to be late, is it?
No.
Don't be worried, people. Okay. All right. So this is just 3 little poems that I don't know if anyone ever Ed Madden had a poems on the bus for the Comet, the bus system in Columbia. So he didn't like what I first sent him. He liked it, but it wasn't right. So now I've tried to rework 3. And so this is just what I've been working on lately. So 3 short poems. All right. Your eyes whisper to me across a city bus, trembling poetry. The flower picks the bee. The second one. In your happy place, you are 21, running downhill behind your first lover and best friend in the sticky capital city. Churches and bars float by, laughter in the light of hard cider in your belly kicks your heart far out like the spark that flew over the Lee River, started a great fire and burned every record. And the last one, midnight. Again, the moon is whole, flocks of gannets smelling of tears, folded together, paper on fire with the word love. The end. You just need to unmute yourself.
That's great.
Telling you how beautifully okay. Emily, I was just saying really nice things about you, so we'll move on. Really
Great
fabulous.
poems, Emily.
Thank you.
Really nice, really nice.
All right, Catherine, I'll be quiet again, and please take it away.
You don't have to. I'm going to read just a short excerpt from a memoir about my mother that I'm writing. The name of it is Anne, Queen of the Winged Chair. And in this little chunk of it, she'll be referred to as Mom, Anne, or Queen, one or the other. She was all of those things. Okay, here we go. One night in her 80th summer, Mom was alone in the house when an electrical storm blew out the power. While groping her way to the bathroom in the dark, she tripped over an ottoman and fell, striking her head on a wrought iron table leg. Fortunately, surgery to relieve the resulting subdural hematoma left her sparkling personality intact. Because brain surgery can sometimes have dangerous side effects, Mom began taking an anti-seizure medication. Individual levels of dosage of the drug can take time to determine, and she wouldn't be allowed to leave the hospital until hers was in place. Queen Anne was missing her home and her throne and her friends and would have done almost anything for a ticket out. Attended by 3 or 4 young residents in white lab coats, the highly respected neurosurgeon would sweep in her room each morning to test the drug levels by asking a few simple questions. What's your name? Where do you live? Where are you now? Why are you here? What's today's date? On the 4th day, the doc began his grilling. Initially, Anne was a whiz-bang, whipping off her name, hometown, and the fact that she was in a hospital. When he asked why she was there, I saw an instant of cloudy confusion in her rich umber eyes, but without missing a beat, my sly octogenarian flashed a brilliant smile right at the surgeon, touched his sleeve, and exclaimed, "What a handsome jacket. That color looks wonderful on you. Is that from Brooks Brothers?" Obviously taken aback, he shot a long look at her, then burst out laughing. Once out of the room, he whispered to me, "Those Dilantin levels are a little high yet, but that mother of yours is a pistol." I'd known that for years. Queen Anne had just garnered another convert for her court. One Sunday morning, I found her propped up in bed looking exceptionally perky. "Mom, you look terrific," I said. "How are you feeling today?" "Like $1,000,000, she replied. "You would be too. You'll never guess who came to see me last night." "Well, who in the world?" I laughed. "Hillary and Bill," she said. "Clinton?" I asked. I was skeptical, but Aunt's fan club did have a pretty broad scope. "Why, of course," she said. "They brought dinner. Artichokes with drawn butter, Cornish game hen, fresh asparagus with the best hollandaise I've ever tasted, and raspberry tarts with real whipped cream." I'm still stuffed. That Bill is quite a charmer, but you know, Hillary just doesn't have much personality. Mom went on to describe Hillary's cornflower blue silk suit with a hefty diamond and ruby American flag pin. That was a little tacky, I think, the Queen proffered, but Bill wore the most gorgeous custom-made powder blue button-down shirt that turned his eyes the color of Paul Newman's. We just talked and talked. I think he could have done better than Hillary. Yep, that Dilantin level was still a little high, but for sheer entertainment value, I half hoped it would take a few more days to settle. That's all.
Thank you. That was great. That was great, Catherine.
Oh, loved it, loved it, loved it.
All true,
Yeah.
all true.
We're really getting to know Queen Anne, so thanks for that. Was great. That was a great. In today's political climate, it was nice to hear that. So okay, Margaret O'Regan is joining us from Cork, Ireland. So Miss Margaret, you've got the stage. Give us a small introduction, and we're looking forward to it.
Thank you. I'm endeavoring to write a series of erotic poems, and these will be 2 of them. The first one is called Anticipation. As momentum gathers and enlargement happens, from clenching and tightening to pulsing and widening, contraction-like feelings cause tinglings and reelings, undulations, rippling pulsations, wave after wave wafting through veins, permeating, dreams mutating. Pheromone levels raised to the heavens, anticipation, suspended animation. And next one is called Surge. A wellspring of juices bubbling beneath the surface heat of moistness seeping, trickling, dripping, deliciously, slowly, movingly pouring, through pores opening, oozing, floozing, rhythmically racing, through wetness prevailing, climactic ending, reaching crescendo. That's it.
I think we're all blushing.
What is going on over there? Yeah. What? We're all,
I'm
we're
trying
all
to
gonna-
I'm trying to promote an interest in having an active sexual life if you want to, no matter what age you are. And I'm going to be 70. I'm going to be 70 shortly.
Hey, Vivian, I think what she's saying is she's having a much better time than we are.
Yeah, I'm very, yeah, I'm going to be very interested in the finished collection. I think you'll,
Good.
my anniversary is in August, so please finish it by then and I'll have some. Margaret, that was fabulous. Thank you. Thank you. Okay. All right. This will be hard to follow, but Brooke, you're going to be next, and then Brad Beck and Niles Reddick. That's our next three up to bat. So Brooke, with your little comment there, you get to follow Margaret.
Well, this won't be as fun, but it's hard to follow that kind of sensation. I'm just going to read a quick scene. If you were here last time, I read the end of chapter 2 from my memoir, and now I'm reading the beginning, and I didn't mean to do that, but I'm doing that now. So, my father Joe wiped blood off the sharp end of his hatchet. I was 8 years old, standing on a 5-gallon bucket in the horse pasture, leaning over the wooden table Joe prepared for the puppies. "Come on now," he said. "I can't, Daddy." "You gotta be tougher than that," he said. I grabbed another puppy to hold still. The puppies moved around by using the momentum of their heads, swinging them around and side to side. Joe was tall, stood over me like a molded stone statue, as if he were someone important who had died. His hands were large as cow's hooves, and his fingers so big he couldn't wear a wedding ring. There was no way I'd tell him no. Joe used the hatchet, rearing back, and with one clear motion, hacked off the puppy's tail. Its cry was awful and contagious, making the rest of the litter scattered across the splintery plywood flinch and cry, too, as if they were all connected somehow. Even the cows and horses looked up from their grazing, glaring at us, twitching their ears and slapping flies down with their tails. Each time the hatchet fell, a whimper fled from the blood-stained table, echoing across the field towards the horizon. I had already picked one out, a solid white one with a brown dot on her head. I'd name her Girlie. Her eyes were barely open as she tried squirming away. I wrapped my hands around her tiny body, turning her back in toward Joe, letting her face me. "It's okay, girl. It'll grow back." Which wasn't true, but I thought it was a hopeful thing to say. I let her inch near me to the edge of the table, but Joe yelled, "Hold him still," and I did. Eyes shut, I prayed he didn't miss and chop off more than the tail. By the time we finished, little brown and white furry tails covered the table. The puppies were spotted with bloody prints on their backs where I held them down. The whimpers faded and collected somewhere beyond the field. That's how poor people took off their dogs' tails. Most would take a litter to the vet for a procedure like that, but we didn't. And Joe wanted to keep the bulldog's infamous look, no tail. Joe said a dog won't remember such pain, or that a dog won't remember what happened to its tail or remember that it ever had one, but I remembered. That night, when everyone had gone to sleep, after Joe tucked me in and sang "You Are My Sunshine," I climbed out of my bedroom window with a blanket and a pink Barbie van. I quietly made my way to the barn where we put the puppies, crawled in and sat the van down, spread out on the blanket. The blanket brought warmth, a good mixture of cool earth beneath them, some comfort after all the confusion. What I thought the van would be good for, I have no idea. Maybe my imagination thinking of an impossible way out for those dogs. The pups heard me, and I heard them, their grunts and whines moving around in the darkness. I found Girly and wrapped her in my arms. Her small black eyes had a reflection from the moon barely shining through a cracked wooden plank in the roof. Days went by and her tail healed, crusted over with a black scab.
Whoa. Fabulous writing. She went on mute already. Yeah, no, that was, and the sound effects in the background there, Brooke, with your
You hear the dog?
yes.
Man. If they're
That
not good, I'm gonna have to chop their tails off.
Stop.
That's fabulous.
Brooke, what is the title of the book?
The book, The First Day of Winter.
Is it published yet, or are you working on it? Or oh, it will be. It will be. It's wonderful.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you, Brooke.
exceptional. Exceptional.
Absolutely.
All right, Brad, sorry, but you have to follow Brooke. So
Wow.
you're our next contestant.
No, Vivian, let me apologize. I don't have any new material tonight. I'm just being so inspired by all the work that I'm hearing, and I'll be planning my trip to Ireland as soon as I get off.
No apologies in the open mic. Everything is welcome and great. Please, are you going to read this evening though?
No, I'm sorry. I don't have any material tonight to read. I was just enjoying what I'm hearing tonight. Thank you all.
Come
All
on,
right.
Brad. I've heard you read.
All right, next month,
Oh,
July.
Wait, Brad, I want to hear about the tomatoes and the girlfriend.
Well, I have with erotic poetry, tomatoes, and a girlfriend. There's probably a poem in there.
There's probably 4.
Yeah.
All right, Niles, then would you be so kind as to honor us with your writing? You're on mute. I'm sorry. Hang on. We'll get there. And I don't know. There you go.
Hey everybody, I will. I didn't know what to read tonight, but I'll read a small flash fiction piece that I wrote that was published just a few months ago in a magazine called Brilliant Flash Magazine, Brilliant Flash Fiction Magazine. It's called Drunk. A rural southern drive can be beautiful if one focuses solely on nature, the forests, rivers, creeks, hills, and more. But more often than not, we pass through small towns that seem to be moving more toward ghost towns, and it was depressing. A 2-pump filling station had become a secondhand thrift store next to a woodshed that leaned, and flaking paint read, Fred's Produce, Vidalia onions, pecans, and Florida oranges. I imagined the words in patriotic blue and red on a white background that likely attracted hundreds of visitors per year, and offered Fred enough to eke a living on his small farm, tithe 10% to the country church, and send his daughter to Auburn with federal Pell Grant assistance so she could get a degree in business, join the rising tide of brain drain from rural communities to become the likes of commuters in a never-ending wave of traffic in Birmingham, Atlanta, Nashville, or any other ever-expanding cities of activity where jobs are plentiful for newly graduated and high-rent skyrises are ready to drain what money is earned. Wish that stand was still open. I'd love to get some pecans and maybe some Mayhaw jelly, Ashley said. Make great gifts this holiday season. Yes, that would be good, I responded. Y'all need a restroom break? I asked, looking into the rearview mirror at my 2 teens. One had headphones on and was listening to his own music, and the other teen was humped and staring at her phone. I wanted to tell her she might get stuck like that over time, the way my mother told me my face might get stuck in a certain position when I made faces. My teens used to have more identity, more communication skills, and more sense. Now, however, the love, respect, and admiration they had for us had turned to eye rolls, comments of our stupidity under their breath, and talk of college and moving far away. Ashley said she didn't need a restroom break, but the teens never responded. All of a sudden, the two teens would rise from their drunken teen stupor like whales coming up for air, blowing and blurting out, "How much longer?" or "I'm bored," or "Why do we have to go visit relatives?" "If you're bored, do aerobics," I directed. "Listen to the beat of the music and keep time with your butt cheeks. I've been doing it for over an hour now and I feel great." I didn't answer how much longer because that was dependent upon multiple factors, and I didn't answer why we had to visit relatives because I honestly didn't know. It just seemed the right thing to do. "That's stupid," my teen daughter said. I used to refer to her as Amelia, but since becoming a teen and entering this drunken state, I just refer to her and my son Anthony as teens. They're in cocoons, becoming something positive and beautiful when they finally emerge, I hope. As I see the speed limit sign and slow the vehicle, we entered yet another town on the verge of ghostliness, a town in the need of a lightning McQueen, something famous to come along and rediscover its forgotten fame and fortune in a dock character, something that will repair its streets, resurrect buildings, and bring new life. The town has a Native American name I couldn't pronounce, like the creek we crossed on the cement bridge just out of town. And I think it's ironic so many places have native names, but the ones who gave place names were driven from their land so long ago. Everything changes in contrary to my long-planted grandmother, whose mantra was, "It's for the best." Treatment of natives, wars, poverty, and even her own cancer weren't for the best. I saw an old man wobbling back and forth along the road's shoulder, saw him mumbling to himself, shaking his fist and yelling heavenward, and I figured this holiday season he'd found solace in a bottle of Mad Dog. "Is that man drunk?" my wife asked. "Appears to be," I said. As we approached, he toppled over into the ditch. "Aren't you going to stop?" I eased the car to the shoulder. I grabbed the cell, called 911, explained what I'd seen, approximately where, and she told me help was on the way. When I stepped out of the car, I yelled toward the ditch, "You okay?" I heard a cough, a giggling, and he said, "Them clouds is moving. He might have heard me." I knew better than to move someone who'd been hurt. "Can you get up?" "I can do whatever I want," he said. "It's a free country." He couldn't see me, but he could hear me. "You Jesus?" "No, just someone passing through." "You come out of them spinning clouds, maybe an alien?" "No, I'm not an alien, but I've got help on the way." "Don't need no help." I saw the ambulance coming, turned and waved, and they pulled off to the shoulder. I pointed to where the man was, and they said, "Sometimes we get calls to get him, and other times we think he sleeps it off in a ditch. He'll sober, piddle around town, get drunk again when the check comes next month." On the way back to the car, I heard him, "Y'all see that damn alien knock me into the ditch?" "Ain't no alien here," said the paramedic. I got into the car, gave a brief summary to Ashley, spoke to the rearview mirror that they were missing life, and drove on to the next ghost town. That's it. Thank
That
you.
was fantastic.
What images?
Thank you.
Niles, can you please repeat where that was published?
It was in a Brilliant Flash Fiction is the name of the little magazine. The editor, her name is Dawn Lowe. I thought they were wonderful to work with, so I would encourage y'all to submit to them. And I think they publish more than just flash fiction, but I mostly write short stories. And they nominated that story for a pushcart prize. I don't know if I won that. Nobody ever said, so I guess I didn't. But that was fine. It's just an honor to be nominated.
Yeah, that was terrific. And thank you so much for your generosity in sharing where it's published and just encouraging all of us as well. So Thanks for joining us
Oh,
tonight.
I love it. Thank you.
All right, come back in July. Our next threesome is Tim Conroy, Susanna Tripoletti. I hope I'm saying that right, Susanna. And Sally Williamson Sweat. So Tim, you'll start us off, please, and give us a little intro. That'd be terrific. Baby Goo Goo, that's pretty great. Okay, well.
I'm gonna do 3 poems, and they're just diverse sort of poems. So the first one's Cross Circuit Memory. No one predicts the instant you forget or how a body holds a soul's regret. We rise, we die, we drift in memory. Eyes roam these rooms without a way to choose. May I suggest some things you ought to keep when you sort through boxes and make your choices? Include pearls, the hidden notes, the silly electric impulses, remembering. Keep satchels of shame and caged bird pain, hung perpendicular to moments strung. Invoke the smell of mothers, the egg of things, to fully know the why of closer looks. And the next one is just something that just recently I've been working on. Summer's music. All summer we heard the towhees pouring sweet tea songs from twigs, grapevine bark, dead leaves, and plucked string under the eaves of a screened porch that sifted the notes. One by one, fledglings hopped to the edge and winged to the smooth limbs of a crepe myrtle, while our toes curled around the thin rungs of our wicker chairs. One plopped to the ground and did not fly again, our tongues caged behind tucked lips. The next day, the towhees stayed quiet as my gloved hand scooped damp clumps from the gutter. I went up and down the ladder mechanically, dropping a line of dark piles. From above, it looked like an ink drawing of birds arranged on a wire. I raked the decaying leaves under the hydrangea, then carried it on a cardboard coffin to its leafy grave. In the silence of towhees, in the demarcation of song, a pause in the composition of summer. And the last one is Ode to Stingray Bikes. Stingrays on a caper, wheelies popping to glimpse Amy, Hannah, Pinkney, sunbathing at the yacht club in her bikini. Single file on the downslope of Woods Memorial Bridge in a fastback banana glide, daring rail and river, never breaking, needing air. 3 parallel emerging from oaks with spokes shimmering down Meridian Road, handlebars daring gravel, slipping for cigarettes as marine aviators roar and tip wings. Naugahyde butts with contoured pain, frantic for release from a kickstand passage, abandoned by the pool in synchronized scattering, envious of back seats and radios, chains first to rust. And that's it. Thank you.
Those are terrific. Those are terrific, Tom. Thank you so much.
For whatever
that was great. That was great, Tim. It was definitely that's your Snakes of September, your second poem.
Yes, yes.
Yes, and for whatever it's worth, I live here in Hilton Head on Towhee Road.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah, I was liking the ride down Meridian. Thank you. So Susanna, am I pronouncing that correctly? You're on mute, so wait, hang on a minute. We need to get you unmuted there. And look at Brooks got her pup there. Almost, but you're still on mute. Oh,
Hello.
there you are. Hello, welcome, welcome. So I have you down to read some poetry for us this evening.
Yeah, I have a poem that I've been working on, and I started writing it at Emily's workshop. So yeah, so that's the first time I'm reading it.
Very good.
Okay.
All right, well, take your time anytime you want to start.
Okay. So this is a funny story because I've been trying to meet this guy forever, and then he came to play in Cork. So then I went to his gig, and I worked out all the night, to flirt with him. And then we eventually arrived in my place. And by the time I got the blanket to do the bed, he passed out completely. So I decided to make this poem. And that was the last time I met a guy before the pandemic. And now I don't know, it will be probably take another year. Anyway, so I'm reading you the poem. I'm stealing the cigarette off your fingers for a puff, for the sake of flirting. I don't smoke either. The soft blanket on that white morning and the obstination of my dog's breath under the door. Did you really bring the stinky chicken roll in the bedroom? The noise of the Plantago's heads are bumping on the plastic of my sandals, a snare drum announcing my feet. You're the last man I've rested my heavy head on, the last deep voice I laughed with when the drunk man fell asleep on his sandwich in Lennox. Those two pigeons we saw curled up in the cold night were balancing on a thick wire. How did they do that? Did they choose each other, or they just joined for the sake of warmth? I'm not closing my eyes while nakedness surprises me, and I'm balancing my weight on the mattress next to you, pondering the shades of your ginger hair. The cliché of meeting a musician one night. I love Mingus too, and wow, the story of the clown, that could be me, trying to keep the hates of our laughter on and on and on and on. I'm half awake on my wire, and fearing the morning arriving too soon, I notice a polite stranger in my bed. Like two fools, we made mistakes. I showed you all my tricks, and you told me about all your pain. I'm watching you brushing your teeth and gently folding your toothbrush in the cellophane. I've never came across a tub that was completely empty. There is always some toothpaste left in it. Will you be my prey again? So that's it.
That is great. Susanna, I have to say that at some point, Margaret sent a chat, I think maybe to everyone, I don't know if it was just to me or to everyone, that you are friends with Margaret O'Regan?
Yes.
Wait, just a couple things. Are you dialing in from Ireland as well, or here?
Yes.
Yes, from where?
Cork City, the rebel city.
Yeah, when she said that you are to her friends in these poems that you're reading, it's like, again, what is going? Emily, what are you doing to her?
I know, we're gonna have an Irish open mic. we're all gonna have a Cork accent in like 6 months. We'll be saying like at the end of our sentences.
That was a fabulous poem. That was fabulous. And you did that work in Emily's workshop?
Yes.
That's terrific. That's really terrific. Yeah. Okay. Well, congratulations and thank you so much for being here, and good luck with the pandemic and your love life.
Thank you.
Okay. That probably goes for all of us. All right. Sally Williamson Sweat, you're next, please. And you're on mute, so just give us a second to unmute you. Oh, they're perfect. Thank you, Sally.
Okay. Hey, everyone. I think I see some familiar faces. So good to see Robin and Jonathan. So this is, can you see me if I just read? Can you still see me? Can you see me if I pull it up?
You're doing just fine. You look terrific, and we see you very well.
Oh, okay. All right. So this is just an excerpt from it's a Southern women's fiction, but it's sort of a flashback to the protagonist when she was a child, and she's displaced after her parents' divorce, and she grows up on a creek down in the low country of South Carolina called Tookidoo Creek, and that's spelled Toogoodo, but pronounced Tookidoo. And so this is really a lot of dialogue, but it's just a little excerpt of all the kids. She was kind of dumped into this household with 6 children and who live there, and so she's dumped there by her father to keep her mother from knowing her whereabouts. So she's deep into the woods. So, and we're going to start out with a bunch of children running down to the creek. And it may be over 3 minutes, and if it is, just let me know. So, and this is a rough draft. They darted like wildebeest in the creek, as if the creek was going to dry up before they got there. The smallest boy, Bill, lagged behind, grumbling under his breath. "Come on, Bill, quit complaining. Last one in is a rotten egg," Hibernia called. She's a protagonist. "He just wants attention because he's the baby," Brenda June said. Teddy, the oldest, tallest, and largest of the 6 Frampton kids, made it to the dock and was the first one to jump into the brownish-green water, splashing like a giant whale. As the huddle of skinny, sweaty kids made their way to the edge of the dock, squishing through the sticky, soggy mud, the fiddler crabs parted like the Red Sea. Hibernia kept going as the others stayed behind. Leaping into the air and grabbing her feet, she spun around like a perfect circle of cigarette smoke, disappearing into the wet, green abyss. "How do you do that?" Brenda June yelled as she watched Hibernia come back up to the surface of the water. "If I tried that, I'd hit the dock, and you'd find me at the bottom of the creek, face down." The goofy boys laughed at her and said, "She's a princess. She can do anything." The odd girl pulled herself up the cross ties and sat next to Marcy and Brenda June, away from the boys. "Yeah, I can," she said. She plopped down in the mud, and the fiddlers scrambled out of their way. The girls scooped up mud and covered their legs with the warm goo. It felt good on Hibernia's skin as it dried into a light gray film. One of the boys came over with a handful of mud and said, "If you're going to be one of us, you have to go through hazing." "What's that?" she said. "Like at the Citadel where Uncle Ashley went. You got to prove yourself. You got to be initiated into the Pluff Mud Club. Eat a mud cake and be buried alive in it long enough for one of the fiddlers to crawl over you. Then you'll prove yourself good enough to be in the club." Hibernia stared into Teddy's blue eyes, red and swollen from the sun and salt water. "Nah," she said, twisting her mouth to one side. "Scaredy pants," they taunted her. "Well, let me think about it. That's a dumb thing to do, but I guess if that's all I have to do." The 8 children cheered as if she had performed a 30-foot high dive. "I now command you to eat the mud," said Benny, and the 2 sisters stared at her, shaking their heads back and forth. "Don't do it. Do it. Don't do it. Do it." Hibernia slowly stuck out her pinky into Benny's cupped hand of mud, looking at it to make sure it had no worms or shells in it, and put it on the tip of her tongue, again and again, until she had a mouthful of the black stuff and her teeth were covered and rotten looking. She squished the mud back through the gap between her 2 broken front teeth, slowly, all the while trying not to gag. "Jiminy Cricket, she did it, she did it. You're the bravest girl I've ever seen," said Benny. "She's the stupidest girl you've ever seen," said Teddy. "2 more things before you're done," Benny said. "You have to catch a fiddler crab and pull off his pincher before he gets you first." "Oh, Benny, you're cruel and stupid," Brenda June said. "No problem," Hibernia said. "I've been catching bigger crabs than these little pretenders all my life. I caught a blue crab one time that measured a foot across, claw to claw. That's nothing." The girls started chasing the tiny crustaceans, and the faster she ran, the faster they scrambled away into their holes up and down the mud bank. "Damn little bastards, come here," she giggled. Finally, they had all disappeared, all except one that had wedged in between 2 rotten dock boards. He had no hole to crawl into, and she slowly leaned down and picked him up with her small fingers by the pinchers, and it clamped down on the thin skin of her index finger. "Ow!" she yelled. She took her other hand and yanked off the flimsy shell body from the claw and pulled it off her fingertip. "Not too bad," she said, "only a nick. Yay, the Pluff Mud Princess." "Not so fast," Benny said. The last test hasn't been fulfilled. Now you have to be buried alive in the pluff mud and lay there until either the tide comes in and washes you over or until a fiddler crosses your body. I can stop. I don't need to keep going if that's...
That was terrific, Sally. That was terrific.
Oh.
So is this young adult? Is this young adult work?
I think it could be either, I think it's a crossover. It could be either young adult or, you know, women's Southern fiction, because it's really supposed to be a flashback. It's about this adult woman, but she's, you know, it's kind of a flashback when she's a child. So I haven't finished it yet.
It's terrific. It's terrific.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thanks for being here. And thanks for helping me out with your name and everything on our emails today. Thank you so much.
Sure. Thanks for, I love listening to everyone today. It's just a great group of talent.
Yeah, it's been an amazing evening. I agree. I agree. I don't know if Jackie Markham joined us or not. Jonathan, did you see her? Yes or no? No. Okay. All right. Okay, I have a short poem this evening. Sounds like it's poetry night in a big, yeah, Emily's. Okay. And then we'll dive into our featured reader, Donna Armour. So this is a quick poem, one poem called Diamonds. I gave them away. My mother's diamond rings, a bracelet with another diamond, singular and hard to give away. I gave her that. Christmas time, Bucci's Jewelers on Liberty Avenue, where my dad bought her engagement ring, all of her diamonds for Mr. Bucci. I bought the bracelet from his daughter. I have no children. I made the decision, now is the time before I die to witness sparks of joy faceted in the eyes of my nephew, my niece. Who will remember each diamond, her fingers, a slight wrist? How will they divide my lot, unencumbered by rock, metal, or body? I will be light. Okay. Okay, thank you for the question. Okay. All right, so it's my distinguished pleasure and joy to introduce Donna Keel Armour. Donna has written a memoir called Solo in Salento, and it will be on sale July 12th, 2020, and we give you our great congratulations on that. Oh, there we go. Thank you, Jonathan. There you have it. So this will be released on July 12th. Donna's story begins with a lie. She tells everyone, including her beloved husband, that she requires time alone to research an historical novel, but her real purpose is a solo flight from everyone and everything. She learns how to sort through fragmented pieces of her life by enrolling in a class in mosaics and by incorporating the basics of sorting and discarding when confronted with a baffling recycling system. The subtitle, it's a debut novel that explores the healing of a fragmented life through mosaics and recycled trash in southern Italy. In this rich memoir, Donna assembles a mosaic of art history with an unexpectedly delightful primer on trash. And it also gets into things where she's sidetracked with the possibility of being kidnapped. And I hope I'm not getting to memoir. Cassandra King Conroy wrote a sassy and sacred memoir for those sorting out what's most valuable in life. Donna traveled extensively in North America, Europe, and Africa. She graduated cum laude with a double major in psychology and social sciences and pursued graduate studies in theology. She's held management positions in the insurance and airline industries, and with her husband, ran a hospitality business in Southwest Georgia. Donna is also an accomplished photographer and has published numerous articles on travel, home decorating, gardening, and food, including a partnership with the Order of Sons of Italy to publish Bella Cucina Italiana, a cookbook that also features her photography. Donna and her husband Ray live in historic Beaufort, South Carolina, where she volunteers at the Pat Conroy Literary Center and Hunting Island State Park. Please welcome Donna, Keel, Armour.
Thank you. One thing I want to say, because I guess this is my one opportunity to promote my book, it is on pre-order on Amazon, even in the UK and Italy, and Books A Million, Barnes & Noble, and IndieBound. I'm going to read tonight sort of a condensed version of chapter 45. And I chose chapter 45 because it's actually the first chapter that I wrote. And there are a couple people here tonight, Emily and Catherine, who heard me when I first wrote this chapter and who have followed me through and supported me throughout getting this book from the birth of it all the way to getting it published. A couple of other things to say is there is some Italian in the part I'm going to read, but it's very simple. And my name in Italian means lady or woman. And Italians that know that, they call me lady. So when I refer to lady, that's what the person is calling me, and they don't use my name as Donna, and they think it's a strange name to have. The title of this chapter is called The Last Supper. Via Castello, the cobble street outside my apartment, transports me to every part of this walled village. Tonight, it escorts me to Ristorante Il Cantico dei Cantici, Song of Songs. Il Cantico is a community where strangers are welcome to the table. Food, wine, music, and hospitality are the gifts that have been given to me. Eating in this place is a joyful experience. Tonight, a table has been reserved for me for my last supper in Otranto. I stroll via Castello, my eyes bathing in the evening's hush that caresses the village. Birds snuggle into their nest with last bits of tweets and twitters. Scents of caramelized onions float on the tender breeze. Benevolent laughter circles, and the music, always the music. It moves with every breath, lifting a single drumbeat into my heart. The November night seeps under my light sweater. Francesco waits by the best table on the patio, the one nestled by the gas heater. It's an elegant contraption featuring a long glass tube encased in an ornamental brass fixture. Flames waltz lazily up the glass, rhythmically tuned to the ancient music. Flickers of light create crossword puzzle patterns across the white tablecloth. Francesco smiles his way to my side, his dark eyes crinkling as he says, "Lady, you will trust me this last time to select your food and wine. You will remember us and we will return. A presto." I nod, imprinting his face into my memory bank. He disappears, returning with water and local wine. He knows I prefer the intense sun-kissed reds to complement the succulent sauces. He positions a crimson-filled chalice before me. The first sip swirls against my tongue, revealing dense blackberry spiciness, spilling into earthy richness flamed by the Sirocco winds. The flavors replenish my soul, discard the past, and bring restoration to my fragmented spirit. Francesco has learned to read my withdrawals. He waits until I resurface before placing the local bread on the table, the one stuffed with black olives, including the pits. His dark eyes radiate in the lazy gas flame as he struggles with words. He thanks me for letting him practice his English, telling me my slow Southern speech is easy for his ears to understand. He melts away softly, part of the night. La musica floats on the outer edge of my soul, stirring some primitive spirit. Its haunting vibration spirals, then gathers in the breeze, merges into the ruins, floats out to sea, supplying new songs to the sirens, waiting to lure sailors onto the rocks. The ancient sounds of time drift on the night, tangling my heart in knots. The first plate arrives with much fanfare. The music fades as the food robs me of all sensibilities. Francesco calls the dish carpaccio di tuna. The sheerly shaved tuna drapes across an upside-down cup-shaped leaf of lettuce. Dark pink flesh crisscrosses in overlapping simplicity. Large caperberries add dark green accents. Cherry tomatoes and microscopic onion shards play peekaboo among the pungent arugula leaves. Lady, what you think? My eyes tell him I love the clarity of flavors, melding with the sensuous textures. The food, the music, and the gentle night cradle me. People stroll arm in arm. Whispers of buonasera hang in the air. The perpetual flame flickers light into darkness. Francesco whisks away my bread white plate. There's time to linger in the music. My wine glass has been replenished without me noticing. The dark hues shimmer in the gaslight. Next, a plate of orecchietti enriched with mussels, clams, and red shrimp glides in front of me. Francesco leans in, whispering that the portion is double for me. I groan as I tuck my thumb in my waistband, praying for wiggle room. A wonderland of flavor explodes with the full force of salty sea air. I devour every bite of seafood, but only manage a forkful of pasta. Francesco frames sorrow at my still full plate. I'm saving room for dessert, I tell him. He nods in appreciation. A warm lemon-scented towel is pressed into my hand as a slab of chocolate cake with chocolate filling and chocolate glaze arrives. After the table is cleared, Francesco recommends a digestive, telling me that tonight's choice must be special. Concentration sends deep furrows across his frowning forehead, then a smile crosses his sun-bronzed face. Lady, I have special drink. You wait. I wait. The drink arrives in a sculptured glass. The inky liquid flings aromatic scents in the air. My first sip of the velvety liqueur discloses almond, dense red grapes, and a splash of black sherry. The essence of my time in Salento is captured in its richness and lucidity. The liqueur, luscious, warm, hovers in my throat. Night sounds mingle with the ethereal music, spinning dream webs to follow me home. My tears gather in the salty breeze and are flung to meet the crest of the sea. This last night, the beauty of time and place etch into my memory. Francesco slips into the darkness, leaving me to sip the magic potion. I long to linger suspended in this moment, savoring all I have been given. If I could, I would push a button and remain forever. But it's time for me to dissolve into darkness, leaving an impossible task. Yet the night comes to an end. I've hurried through my life, forgetting the need for renewal, for solitude, for nourishing my creative spirit, until the pain of living poorly erupted. This month alone has restored my balance. I'm ready to walk on a new path. I murmur, arrivederci, grazie mille to the owner, the kitchen staff, the chef, and most of all to Francesco for this last supper. Cheek-to-cheek kisses fade into the darkness as I float on the cobbled street, bathed in the antiquity of moonlight. The whispery words, buonanotte lady, ritorna per favore, twist in gut-wrenching sweetness. Buonanotte il mio amico, I murmur, my words trailing into the star-dusted glow of night. That's it.
That's fabulous.
No, it's something chocolate. Really bad.
That's poetry.
I forgot to say, if you hadn't eaten dinner tonight, this might be.
I'm ready.
Be over soon.
This is not your one and only chance, that's for sure. That was fabulous, Donna. We all wish you so much success in your memoir, and we're just so happy for, yeah. Beautiful, beautiful writing. Beautiful writing.
Wow, yeah.
Thank you so much. It's been a pleasure.
You're welcome.
And I have to tell you, because last time was my first time to read. So, and I think there was someone else tonight, Sally, that maybe was your first time to read, was my first time to read. And so the nerves are great, where they were for me. And so I appreciate you enduring. And it's just been a wonderful experience. So thank you.
Yeah, Donna, no, you read beautifully, really, just beautifully. Thank you. And it's really, really great writing. And you took us all to Italy for just a moment. So I guess so. I will end tonight's open mic by saying arrivederci, everyone. And
ask a question.
Oh wait, someone has a question. Go
Can I
ahead.
ask a question? Jonathan, you were talking about the video of this. I missed part of that. When and where is that?
Well, I've edited you out already, Barry, so you don't have to hear. Yeah, so that'll go up on our YouTube channel, on the Conroy Center YouTube channel, and we'll share it through our Facebook page as well. Usually takes a couple of days to get it up on all of the channels.
What does?
Then people
Okay, thank you.
get to enjoy it whether they were here tonight or not.
Wonderful.
Great, thank you.
I don't know what you're talking about, but I'll ask Barry later. I'll email Barry. Ask him. Poor Barry gets all my questions.
I was
Does
wondering,
anyone? Yeah, Emily.
Donna, when is your launch? Is your launch going to be a virtual launch?
You know, that's the question. Jonathan and I are kind of kicking that around now. It was supposed to be at the Pat Conroy Center, so we kind of are talking about how we can manage something with some social distancing in place. So.
Okay. So it's still in development. Okay.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, thank you, Vivian, and everyone for reading. This was fantastic.
Yes, thank you. It's my first time, and I was just so impressed with you all.
Thank you all for coming from Ireland.
Thanks, Vivian. Great to see
Yep.
everyone.
Thanks, Vivian.
No, thanks, Jonathan, very
Thanks,
much.
Thank you, Jonathan.
Thanks, Vivian.
Great to see you, Jonathan.
All our Irish friends.
Thank you.
Good night, John Boy.
Thank you, America. Hi.
Does this look like Hollywood Squares to anybody else?
Yeah.
The Brady Bunch.
Oh, totally.
Good night.
Good night in Ireland. Good night in
Robin. Good night. Good to see you.
Donna.
Yeah, happy Ireland. Wow.
Good writing, everyone.
Yes,
Okay. Sarah, bonjour.
Bon week.
Buonanotte.
Yeah, that's good. How do you say good night in Irish?
Oh, I
Hey,
don't
Mary.
know.
I don't know either. I don't think I've heard that.
It's Margaret.